AG.
What is up, you guys? It is Patti next door. I'm going to talk about the 8 specialties or rotations that we did. So these are all the specialties that I've been exposed to clinically, and we've worked through the content for school. I've studied the stuff for marks, and also my opinions on this are also subject to change. Please tell me your expectations of it, your experience of it, your thoughts on it as well. The first rotation we did was neurology, and neurology was the reason I went into medicine. Okay, so it was, what can I say, it was boring. It was a boring rotation. I was enjoying studying the work and all these things that I didn't know, and all these things that were like, all these concepts I was trying to understand, like,
wow, the left brain controls the right side, that's that, the language area, Wernicke's area, Broca's motor speech, like,
just all these fun concepts about the brain and the nerves. High yield. It's high yield information. I doubt they even taught us half the work. So yeah, being in the clinical aspects of neurology was interesting. And there's also the psychiatric part of neurology, right? Something going on with your brain. Hey man, sometimes it affects your behavior. There was trauma patients. It's just a very intense. We didn't get exposure into neurosurgery, which is also something I was really into. We didn't get to go to theater for neurology, so we did ENT after. ENT was the ear, nose, and throat. Auto for ear, larynx for the throat. Is there nothing for the nose in that? Otolaryngology. So that was like all kinds of deafness, all kinds of sore throats, all kinds of yeah. ENT was interesting. I'm not gonna lie, ENT was very interesting. So it wasn't like as intimate or private, going into like the clinics for it. So we got to learn a lot and see a lot of procedures. We went to theater. What more can I say about ENT? I think it was very clinical. We got to see a lot of things if we put ourselves out there. It was a come and learn what you want, and I feel like that's what a lot of rotations were about. Like, if you don't take the opportunities to learn or to get into spaces where you could learn, then you're not going to learn much, and you're going to like not enjoy the rotation. And sometimes it is hard to squeeze yourself into these type of spaces. So yeah, ENT was interesting. I would not be so interested, but it's fun though. It's fun. What else? After ENT we did ophthalmology. Ophthalmology is the eyes. And ophthalmologists are cute. Okay, ophthalmologists are just I could consider that. They just had an interesting style, They were just all such like interesting and fun doctors, if that makes sense. So yeah, eye conditions, plenty. Also very high yield information. The eyes aren't just your pupil and your iris and your sclera. Like, there's so much more going on inside. It's also very heavily connected to your brain. So it was very interesting to learn about that and to integrate this knowledge with how much we've learned in neurology, and then now go through our optic nerves and see the eyes. We also unfortunately didn't get to go into surgery or into theater for ophthalmology, but obviously I was watching YouTube videos on it, and I was like, yeah, this is cool, this is something I'd consider. So yeah, after ophthalmology I think we had pediatrics. I think with pediatric doctors, for one, pediatric doctors all have a low voice. I don't know what's up with that. They all speak very softly. I think they're just so used to speaking to kids and having to like, regulate their tone and stuff. They're all very soft and calm. They're friendly, they wanted us to learn, and it was great learning. Like, it was great clinical exposure. We were handling babies, we were handling children. It's also it plays on your heartstrings. Like, I feel like I don't enjoy seeing kids suffer, and the hospital is not a place where happy kids come. But pediatric oncology, the cancers for the kids, count me out. I'm not doing that. And another thing with pediatrics is you're not only dealing with children. Children don't even understand what they're going through. You're dealing with the parents, having to explain to the parents. I feel like it's just, you're dealing with double the patient, because you're dealing with the difficulty of this child who doesn't want to be touched or examined, and you're dealing with this mom who has so many questions, which is fair, you know. But it's just like, oh my God. Kids are not just small people. Kids are on a specific growth pattern, and they reach milestones at their own times, and it's all very beautiful. I actually even had to buy the textbook. It's like this thick, and there's just so much to learn with pediatrics. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think, oh, during pediatrics we also had to do, that was our first clinical exam, so we had to go into the hospital. They give you a patient, and then you examine the patient, and then you give a differential diagnosis. You say all the possible disease or pathologies that could be going on, and they ask you a few questions. So you go into 2 rooms like that, and then your final one is a test. This takes about 10 minutes each. And yeah, so having that at the end of our pediatric rotation was nerve-wracking, because that was the first time we had to do that. So, but we learned a lot, you know, like, yeah, we were playing doctor for the first time, and it was really fun. Yeah, I think the baby I got was like asleep, so I was like, okay, let me just do my quick little examination. And then the other baby I got, she was like crying, so I was like, okay, I guess we have to pick her up. So yeah, it's just a lot of like improv, and you have to be really good with kids, which is very obvious when you haven't been exposed to kids. Like, yeah. The next thing we did from that was internal medicine. Internal medicine was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I enjoyed internal medicine. It was hands-on, it was active learning, it was everyday concepts, if they knew, if they're not, but you're going home and you're going to remember these types of concepts, and there's just all these types of pathologies. So let me explain what internal medicine is, because I also didn't know. I thought it was like, I don't know, the deeper side of medicine, you know, internal. But internal medicine is basically like an internal medicine ward would have your HIV patients that have different many diseases or many different types of pathologies happening at the same time. You could have your liver disease patients, you could have your kidney failure patients, you could have your you could even have your cancer patients in your internal medicine wards. So I'll just insert here like a quick brief explanation of internal med, because I feel like I'm not very good at explaining things. But yeah, so with internal med, yeah, it's high demand. You need to know a lot about a lot, because it's I'm not going to say it's not specific, but it's a lot of different practices in one, because you have to become the pulmonologist, the lung guy, you know, you have to become a cardiologist, you have to become a dermatologist. You need to be able to diagnose and help the patient with all the things that could be going on with them at the same time. Basically, the only time we got to fully play doctor, you know, because we had to have our stethoscopes every day and just like, okay, examine this patient, and then you'll present, and then do this, do that, and then you'll present, draw the blood from there, put in the IV line from there, we're going to theater now. It was like, ooh. And yeah, we also had a practical exam at the end of the weeks of internal med, which was also kind of like pediatrics, but I feel like it went better because I had already had that exposure from pediatrics, so I knew how to prepare and how not to be nervous, because being nervous during a clinical exam ruins everything. After internal med, did I talk about orthopedics? Let me talk about orthopedics. So orthopedics, it's a very, I don't know if I can say this on camera, but it's a very masculine industry. Like, it's just, maybe it's just the one doctor we had. I also don't want to say where or but it was just orthopedics is basically the mechanics of the body. That's your muscles and your bones. So Orthopedics was also very interesting, like how they repair fractures and stuff like that. Going into theatre for orthopedics was also very fun, very interesting. The doctors were informative, you know, but it's heavy machinery. Like if you're into robots, I guess, if you're into machines, if you're into mechanics, you will really like enjoy orthopedics or learning about orthopedics. That's basically the bones, breaking them, healing them, and just remembering that bones are living organs. Like it's not just a piece of calcium that once it breaks it dies. Like bones are so interesting. There's so many ways to repair them and work around them. There's so many diseases with bone. There's how to read x-rays, all these types of things. So we learned so much during our orthopedic rotation. I don't think I'd consider it as a specialty personally, but yeah, I see why you do it. And I think orthopedics like pays a lot. Next and last rotation we did was urology. Urology is the urinary system, but more specific to males. I loved urology at Galafong because I think they had 6 years having their tutorials. So I just joined them and be like, okay, yeah, what are they learning? And it was just so high yield. It was fast paced. The doctor was like into it. You know, everyone was just like quick about it. And it's a sensitive specialty because I mean it's men and their penises, which is very important to them. So you know, we didn't get a lot of exposure with like seeing all these type of things because we'd get excluded out of rooms and stuff like that. So yeah, but we did go into surgery, we did go into theatre. Very interesting how everything happens and the side effects of like theatre and surgery. The last specialty was gynecology. That's feminine health. So the vagina, the uterus, the ovaries, everything. So with gynecology, there's 3 respects. There's the urogyne, so that will be the urinary system of the woman. There's fetal maternal gyne, so that will be like when a woman is pregnant. That's basically obstetrics. And then there's oncological gynecology, gyne, whatever, the cancer of the female reproductive organs. Gynecology is also very sensitive, but somehow we got a whole lot more exposure. So it was very interesting to see all these presentations and how, you know, how bad things can get. So it's very sensitive, it's very beautiful. I saw my first cesarean section. I still haven't seen like a natural vaginal delivery, like real life, but yeah, I guess that could have been the space I could have witnessed that. But I found myself really interested in especially the obstetrics of gynecology. The thing about also gynecologists is just the problem solving that goes into different types of diseases. So that was very interesting to see how they communicate to the patient. The gynecology wards were just pretty and peaceful. It's also very sensitive stories, so talking to the patients was what made me like interested even more, like just because going behind the science of it or the physiology of it and talking to the person themselves that is going through this condition or that condition or that is what breaks down everything and makes you even remember concepts a little better. So it was very interesting to talk to women that have had miscarriages, women that had ovarian cancers, and all these other sensitive type of things. It was just very yeah, I took it personal. I took it personal because I love women, so why not? The doctors, like the doctors in each regard, gynecologists are like, they just fun, you know, like gynecologists are fun doctors. Like I enjoyed like the tutorials we had from the gynecology lecturers, if that makes sense. Learning and them teaching it was just so fun. Like you could tell these people are passionate, because there were some specialties where it's like, Vela, are you passionate? Like, do you even enjoy what you're teaching us? Because you're being boring. You know, you're not telling us any interesting facts, you're not telling us what to read up on, you know, you're not leading us to curiosity, you're just telling us, yeah, so when this happens, that. So with gynecology, it was like, yes, and this, that is that, this is this. And yeah, I hope next year is going to be just as great with learning and all these specialties. I hope this video was informative. I hope this video was fun. If you have any opinions, any comments, any questions, you know how to drop a comment, okay? If you're new, subscribe, and welcome. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.